Okay. Looks like it's working. Looks like it's working now. I had to reload it. So hopefully, looks like Lolly is here and we is here and I am here. And that's it for now. But how's it going? Lolly, how's it going? So you're in the eighth grade, which means you're about 14 maybe? And my students right now are in the seventh grade. They're about 13, but next year I'll be teaching eighth graders. My daughter is in the eighth grade. So I know the age well. It's a rough, rough age, man. Rough age. Don't worry about it. It gets better. Eighth grade was probably the worst year for me. Well, until 2020. But through high school, through all of my schooling, eighth grade is the roughest. So if you're having a somewhat good life right now, considering, it's only going to get better from here. So what I want to do at 10 o'clock, I just have some things to say about Boris Johnson and Japan and Wisconsin. I don't know, if you've been keeping up with the news in the United States, but some crazy stuff is going on in the state of Wisconsin. So I'll talk about that. I'll wait till live today, and I don't want to say that I'll go live every day because I don't know if I'll have things going on. But during this quarantine, I've been able to go live kind of in the morning, in the afternoon or so. Yeah, Japan. Yes, the Olympic Games. Looks like it'll be 2021 now. So hopefully 2021, there will be a vaccine and we'll be able to get past this coronavirus thing. But our main doctor yesterday, his name's Dr. Fauci. I mentioned him before. But he said life will probably not be normal until we have a vaccine, which is unfortunate because that means another year or a year and a half of waiting for this thing to get over with, to end. And so I can talk first about Japan, which has me worried because, excuse me, allergies, not the coronavirus, allergies. Because what worries me is that in my mind, I thought, okay, this started over near China. South Korea went through a bit of a rough time. Japan seems like they may have dodged the bullet. They didn't really suffer from it too badly. And then it moved to Europe. And then it moved to North America. And it seemed like, okay, that part of Asia had a rough time, getting better. Europe had a rough time. I'm not saying it's getting better there, but it's getting a little better. You know, the numbers are coming down. They're still high every day, but at least they're not going up. So that's maybe a good thing. And then now, Aroni, what's up? And then, of course, the United States, like North America, we are taking our lumps, and then hopefully in a couple months, it'll be gone. And then we'll have to worry about the next time. But as you may have seen, Japan yesterday, I believe, just declared a state of emergency. So things are not going well with the coronavirus. So and that kind of worries me about here is that we think maybe July and August and September, maybe even October might be good for us. And then we have to worry about flu season and coronavirus season. But it seems like Japan, it's a bit of a setback maybe for the world that they might have to deal with this. And as tightly packed in as Tokyo is, I'm really worried because Tokyo makes New York look like, a desert, makes it look like, Mongolia, like where nobody lives. Excuse me. New York, I think, has like 8 or 9 million people. And what does Tokyo have? Like almost 30 million. So that could be rough. I hope my thoughts are with Japan. Hopefully everybody gets inside. They'll have to do the same thing we are doing and Europe is doing, and watching the economy, but lives being saved, maybe. The next thing I want to talk about is Boris Johnson. Worried about that guy. He's 55, Prime Minister of England. And last night, at least last night for the United States, he went into, what did they call it? In this country, we would call it ICU, like intensive care. I think they might have called it critical care. But he went into critical care. So he left 10 Downing Street and went to the hospital, or as they say in England, he went to hospital, and for oxygen and possible ventilation. And in my mind, I'm thinking it is serious, because they could have just brought the oxygen and the doctors to him. I mean, he's the prime minister after all. But it just makes me think that it's a little bit more serious than they're letting on. And just a couple weeks ago, he was shaking hands with coronavirus patients, saying, this is just the flu-like stuff. We'll get over it. And now the poor guy, I think is in pretty rough shape. They've already deputized this other guy named Rob to take over for him when necessary. And it seems like it's necessary now. But I hope that he pulls through, and hopefully he can get back home. We'll know it's a good thing when he goes back home to 10 Downing Street, right? That's what they call it, right? 10 Downing Street. So he'll be in the clear, as we say. He'll be okay. He'll be getting better. But right now, I don't like the fact that he's going into the hospital with a ventilator nearby. And if you've seen the statistics for people who get ventilated, it's not good. Once that ventilation, once the tube goes in, I think it's 50-50 that you come out of it. So scary stuff. Hello. Oh, I think that looks like, is that Japanese writing? If you are from Japan, I would love, could you please type and let us know how it's going in Japan. And I'm sure it's like any other country where you say, oh, the United States, look at those numbers. What is it? Over 10,000 have died, 300,000 cases. Yeah, it looks bad, but where I am, you would hardly know anything was going on. Nobody's at work. And if you go to the grocery store or the supermarket, something's up. But we don't have large numbers of deaths, large numbers of cases even. If you see the video I made last night with the listening practice, it seemed like some people like that. I didn't want to get too close to the hospital, just people walking by. They're not exactly sure how long the virus stays in the air, but it's not bad here. You go to New York City, well, it's totally different. So I suspect it's similar in Japan. There will be some places where you're like, nothing's going on here. But then there'll be other places where it's bad. Which the next thing I'd like to get into is Wisconsin. But if anybody would love to give an update in the chat on how it's going in their part of the world, that would be great. Maybe a little practice with your English. I won't judge. I won't judge. I know if you're watching this channel, you're here to learn English. So it's all right. Elon, how are you? So talked about Boris Johnson. Oh, and he's 55 years old. Not exactly an old man. And if I remember correctly, he has a child on the way. Like his fiance is pregnant. So he is about to have a baby soon. From what I've read, it's a mild case for her, which is good for her and her baby. So hopefully my man, Boris Johnson, can pull through and he will be back home soon. And the last thing I want to talk about before I get to any questions that you know They don't respect the confinement. That's in the United States, you will see pockets of people who don't take it as seriously. But when we see the numbers go up, more people started taking it seriously. And our government has said 15 days, stay inside. Then they changed it to 30 days. And who knows, at the end of the 30 days, they may, 40 days, you know. But I would say overall, people are taking it seriously. Our numbers are, they're saying it's a plateau. A plateau is something that's high up like a mountain, but it doesn't have a peak like a mountain. Instead, at the top, it's flat. So it looks like the numbers for the hot spots, the places where it's bad, they have plateaued. You can use it as a verb. They've plateaued. So the numbers, they're still high, but they're not climbing. And we will know after today, because then that will be 3 days in a row that they've plateaued. Because it's been 2 days, they have not gone up. They haven't gone down, they haven't gone up. So we're thinking maybe that's helping since everybody stayed inside. And most people are. Got to give Americans credit. Most people are, from what I see, at least in my state. And then, yes, Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe declares state of emergency. Oh, it's only in the capital of Tokyo? Oh, in Osaka and 5 other. Okay, so maybe major cities, but the countryside of Japan, you can still conduct business. In the United States, I think it's up to 95% of the country is staying at home. 95. There are a few states, Alaska, that hasn't seen many cases, and a couple states in the middle of the country that where hardly anybody lives anyway. So Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, they don't have stay-at-home orders. They live very spread out. They're spread out, not close like New York. So they're not at, and they might not need to be, right? They might not need to be. So, oh, good. In Paris, they do respect it. Yeah, and I'm sure it's just like anywhere else. You'll have some places. Now, I've heard the South, the United States, not as seriously. And I have some friends on Facebook. I used to live down south, and they're still having play dates where little kids will come over and play with their little kids. It's called a play date. You know, that's dangerous. That's dangerous. But our numbers are low in Maine. Alabama's numbers are low, which is the state I was just talking about. But it doesn't take a long time. You guys know 2 weeks, right? Your numbers are what they were 2 weeks ago. That's how long it takes for the virus to start. So the last thing I wanted to talk about was the state of Wisconsin. And 2020 in the United States is an election year. So we will elect a president in 2020. It might be Donald Trump. He might come back for another 4 years, or it might be this guy, Joe Biden. But before we go to the election in November, there are all these things that have to happen first. Each state has to have their primary to see who is going to run against Donald Trump. So Donald Trump is Republican. All the Republicans say, we're not going to run against you. Try to get another 4 years. The other party we have is called the Democratic Party, the Democrats. And then Wisconsin, today, there is a vote to see who is going to go up against Donald Trump. It's either this guy, Joe Biden, he will probably win, or this other guy, Bernie Sanders. But so people are going to be going to schools and auditoriums and voting in clusters today. And the people that volunteer to work at the polls, we call it, the elections, they're mostly older. So I worry. Wisconsin, I don't think they should be voting right now. They're not a hot spot, but they're close to Detroit, which is a hot spot. They're close to Chicago, which is a hot spot. Their big town, their big city is called Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So I don't know. Can you not just wait a month or two? Maybe have it in July, and then we don't vote until November. I just think it's very risky. So Wisconsin, not a good move. Japan, hopefully things go well there in Japan. And then Boris Johnson. Hopefully that man comes home from the hospital soon. All right, before I get out of here, probably be a short one today. Before I get out of here, I'm thinking so, right? It's not worth it. I mean, I know voting is very important, and I'm glad as an American that we have the freedom to vote. We have the freedom to choose, but we'll have that same freedom in June or July when it might be a little bit safer to get, 2,000 people into a school gymnasium. I mean, it's just not. We'll see, right? We'll see how it goes. I'm not happy with Wisconsin right now. It's not fair to all the healthcare workers who will be risking their lives. It's just not fair. So, anybody have any questions? They maybe were studying something about English and they were stumped. I know we said he was doing his homework. Is there anything there I can help you with? For the channel, I think by the end of today, I'll have another phrasal verb video up. And it's all about phrasal verbs with stick. Stick. Stick's kind of a crazy word in English. It can be a noun. You might pull it off a tree, a stick, a piece of wood. It can be a verb, which has absolutely nothing to do with the noun stick on a tree. Like I can say, and this is impossible, but my phone sticks to this water bottle. Maybe I had some glue on there or some tape. So that's the verb. And then we have the adjective sticky, which if you ever chewed gum, stick around. That's the one I'm gonna do that one. I'm gonna do that. Like if there are some questions about English, I'll stick around. If not, I'm gonna go work on some other schoolwork I have to do for my students, but it won't take too long. But yeah, stick around, stick up, stick up. Sometimes a bank robbery or whatever, you stick them up. It means put your hands up, stick up. So I'll have that out today. It might be a two-parter because there are quite a few. Stick around, stick up. What are the other ones I was thinking of? I'm drawing a blank right now. Drawing a blank. Glad nobody asked me about phrasal verbs with stick. But those videos seem to be pretty popular for my channel. You know what isn't popular is the history videos. But there's a small group of people that like them and they watch them. They watch them for a long time. The minutes watched for the history videos are really long. Like most people watch the whole thing. Some of the grammar videos, not as long a watch time, but I'll keep making them. The presidents came out last night, I think, part 2. Talked about some presidents. Not a lot of people watch it though. So, but I'll still make it. So, any questions? If not, I probably won't stick around too much longer. I'll probably get out of here. Ah, Harry, what's up? No way, you're from Madagascar. It's awesome. It's awesome. Heard there's quite the wildlife there. Wildlife that you can't find anywhere else because it's so kind of isolated. Apparently it broke off from the continent of Africa a couple years ago. And now some of the wildlife there can be found nowhere else in the world. Crank out. Crank out means to produce quickly. So right now, our government is asking some countries to crank out the production of masks. They need to crank those out really quickly. I try to crank out another video once a day. Produce. That's what crank out means. Get it out. Lemurs. Oh man, that's a cool animal. Khalifi, what's going on? Did I start early? I thought I was going to be on 10, I said. Yes, earlier. Yes, I do have some things I have to do this afternoon. Yes, earlier than normal. I usually go on at 12. That's why I'd like to say that I'm going to go live every day during the quarantine, but I just don't know, like something might come up, so I don't want to say no, but I'm sure more people, if I said a couple days in advance, like, all right, I'm going live Thursday at noon, which I might do. I don't think I have anything at noon. I can clear away all the work I had to do for school by then, but yeah, so thanks for stopping in. Sorry, Khalifi. Sorry. I hope you get a chance to watch the American President's video. You're about the only one I make that for. No, you are one of a couple that like the history ones, but people like the grammar stuff more, probably. All right. Oh, Harry, you're welcome. My pleasure. Happy to help. All right. I think that'll do it for today. Go crank out some work for my other students. Produce some work for my other students. And if there's a chance, maybe I'll get back on live here. If not, see you tomorrow. I might be able to go live tomorrow at noon. I'll check it out, and I'll try to give you more notice, okay, for that. If I can go at noon or maybe 10 tomorrow, I'll try to do that. But let's call it a day for now. Be on the lookout. I'll have a phrasal verb video out later today, I think, on Stick. Thank you for joining. If you haven't subscribed, think about Think about subscribing. Oh, thank you very much. Think about subscribing and maybe ringing that bell so you never miss when I go live. But I'm sorry I didn't have more time to let you know. Kind of put it out there, and 40 minutes later, I'm on here. So, thank you guys so much for tuning in. And yeah, definitely see you soon. See you, Lolly. See you guys. See you, Khalifi. See you, Aroni. See you, everybody. Adios. Bye. Yes.